Jesse Ventura is not your average politician, unless your average politician was also a Rolling Stones bodyguard, a Navy SEAL, and a professional wrestler.
There's a reason that they call me the Body, Piers.
Jesse's also a Hollywood action hero, a visiting fellow at Harvard, and a noted conspiracy theorist.
I speak my mind, whether anyone likes it or not.
He's seen it all, he's done it all. So what's left for Jesse Ventura? Could the Body be planning a run for the White House?
You'll be the first to know, Piers.
Tonight, Jesse Ventura on JFK, conspiracy theories, and what he says the American government is doing behind closed doors.
All the people that question me, I turn around and say, well, how much independent investigation have you done?
Jesse Ventura for the hour. This is Piers Morgan Tonight. Jesse, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you are a man...
Piers, welcome to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I know you did Larry's show many times.
Yes, and you replaced a legend.
Well, Larry hinted to me the reason he loved you as a guest was that you always caused trouble.
Well, you know, if telling the truth causes trouble in the United States today, then yes, I do.
Excellent. Well, let's have a lot of truth-telling and trouble.
To me, truth-telling shouldn't be trouble. But if it is, so be it.
What do you make of this extraordinary news cycle we're currently in, with incredible uprisings all over the Middle East, with the continuing global recession, with earthquakes and tsunamis and nuclear crises? It's been an extraordinary period. What have you made of it from your vanpoint?
Well, you probably shouldn't ask me that, considering my TV show's called Conspiracy Theories.
Well, exactly.
Which, of course, we have a thing up in Alaska called HAARP that can create all these disasters with the weather. I went and discovered that. It's located up in Alaska.
Well, would you
I think, you know, it's...
Yeah, but Jesse, you can't just say that. I mean, you got a place in Alaska that can create...
Yeah, it's called HAARP.
What do they create there?
Well, what it is, it's 50 antennas, basically, that put out 50,000 watts, which is the maximum you can for radio, and it combines and shoots it up into the ionosphere, and they ricochet it off back to the ground. They can knock planes out of the air with it. They can control cloud movements and all that with it, with the weather and all this stuff. And they call it an unclassified research center. But I know that that's a lie, because when I went up to go inside, they wouldn't let me in it. So clearly it is classified, so they're lying on the classification to begin with, which is, you know, governments do that. They lie a great deal, it seems, today.
Well, that's also the theme of your book. Coming back to what's going on in the world.
Yeah. I think that, you know, you're always going to see a rise up of the workers, of the people at a certain point when they've been oppressed long enough. And it seems in the Middle East, they've been dealing with these dictators, and they've been dealing with dictators and not fair elections or not having elections. And generally, it's the youth, which I think it is over there a great deal, too, young people. Young people are traditionally always not satisfied with the status quo. And if there's wrongs being done, young people have the courage at times to rise up against them.
I mean, the way that America has dealt with each of these respective uprisings has been very different. Some would say inconsistent, to put it mildly. What's your take? Well,
my take is that we're only worried if there's a corporate interest. Take Rwanda. We had no interest in that because there was nothing there corporate to gain from it. I've said publicly that I refer to us now as the fascist states of America, because if you look at the simple definition of fascism, it's when corporations team up with organized religion to run a government. I think we're there.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't see Barack Obama's administration as being run by organized religion, do you?
No, I see it being run by corporations, though, clearly. Barack Obama ran on change. Change, people can, what was the quote? Well, what change have we seen? Nothing. He ran to close Gitmo. He ran to get us out of the wars. We're more into the wars than we've ever been, and Gitmo's still there. I got a feeling he got taken to the woodshed.
I mean, you mentioned Rwanda, and that was obviously scandalous that people didn't get involved sooner than they did. Millions died as a result.
Yeah.
When you see what was apparently about to happen in Benghazi in Libya, where it appeared that Gaddafi was about to slaughter possibly hundreds of thousands of his own people, Is there not a humanitarian duty for countries like America to try and prevent that if they can?
Yeah. But I think that you have to go maybe on the perspective that it has to, the first shot has to be fired first.
But he was being fired. He was killing people.
Oh, he was? Well, then, sure. Then obviously there should be an intervention of some sort. But why is it always the United States?
Well, it's not. It's NATO as well. You've got an alliance of countries. Why are you laughing?
What, the coalition of the willing? Is that what we have? Like
well,
Iraq?
to be fair, in Libya, it was French and British planes that went in first.
Okay, good. Let them go. It's about time they go.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. You think America's for too long been the world's policeman?
Yeah. If I became president, the first thing I would do is shut down the 248 bases that are located throughout the world. I always put it in this perspective.
But that wouldn't help security for America, would it?
Why not?
We shut down all your bases overseas?
We can get anywhere. We have nuclear missiles. When you look at, okay, let's reverse this for a moment, Piers. We don't like Hugo Chavez very much because he nationalized oil. He kicked corporations out of Venezuela. That's why we don't like him. Now, he's got a lot of money. How would the United States feel if Hugo went, say, by Palm Springs and bought 100 acres of land and moved the Venezuelan military into there?
So you're saying that the mere presence of American bases is inflammatory?
Yeah. Why do we have bases in foreign countries?
Well, the argument is to try and prevent uprisings in these areas.
Or is it the opposite? Colonization and world dominance. I could make that argument, too, for it.
Has it been healthy for America to be the #1 superpower for so long? And is it actually, perversely, could it be helpful now that places like China are emerging as
competitors? I think it's very easy to see what's going on. The United States is following textbook example of the Roman Empire, getting itself involved now in 3 wars.
When you served in Vietnam,
yep.
You didn't, I don't think, actually have live combat there, right? But you were serving. Is that correct?
I don't talk. When I got back, I'm a Navy SEAL. When I got back from my service overseas on my first deployment, the My Lai massacre had just happened, or was just in the headlines. I was brought in by my commanding officer, my entire team, and we were ordered. We were to discuss nothing of anything we did or any ops we were on, because normally the SEALs are all part of a top secret operations. So I do not discuss anything I did in the military, other than to say I served honorably and received an honorable discharge, and I showed up, which is more than what George Bush can say.
Yeah, I mean, the point I was going to make is, what lesson did you learn from being in the military about the reality of war?
Probably the biggest lesson I learned happened in 2004 when I was teaching at Harvard, and McNamara came through and admitted the Gulf of Tonkin incident never happened. That was the incident, the false flag operation, that got us into the Vietnam War with ground troops over something that never occurred. They made it up. Well, if you start studying history closer, you find that most all wars are based on false flag operations to get the people, to convince the people that they're under attack in some way so that they will support the wars.
I mean, do you think, as a matter of principle, as with Vietnam, as you're seeing in Libya, that America and the West generally should stay out of civil war?
Yeah.
That let countries fight it out if they want to?
Yep.
Could be a more sensible and, dare I say it, cheaper foreign policy? Well,
I don't know. It would certainly be cheaper. And again, what made us the policemen of the world?
What do you do then about somewhere like Iran, where they have uprisings in Iran, they have a form of civil war, and the bad guys get in charge? The extremists take hold of a country, and then they become a genuine threat, not just to America, but particularly to Israel,
that's true, but
other countries.
Look at all the bad guys we support, simply because they're our puppets.
Well, support stroke control, perhaps.
Well, but well, let me put it to you this way. I was in the Philippines the day that Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law and became a dictator. He didn't do it without our permission. We gave him permission to become a dictator. Because what? He was our boy. He was our pawn. As long as they answer to our corporations, we're good with them.
But isn't that the nature of the beast? Isn't that the way it has to be?
Does it?
Well, the alternative is you just let every country get on with it. And as he...
Well,
and the reason
shouldn't countries determine their own destiny?
Possibly, but as I say, you end up then with the possibility of further Irans, which is dangerous to world peace. No one disputes that. You have a huge country run by a guy who's publicly said that he wants to annihilate Israel. These are dangerous people who then have the power to do what they say they're going to do. That can't be allowed to happen, can it? Isn't that why America and the West generally has to do dirty deals with the devil occasionally?
Do they? I don't know.
Well, is it the alternative is just to have open season everywhere?
Well,
where America has no influence over any part of the world. That can't be healthy, surely.
Well, it isn't America having the influence. It's the national corporations have the influence. We're the puppets to them.
What would you do about oil, then?
What do you mean? What would I do?
Well, for example, by your yardstick, if you don't go and get involved in places like Egypt, when there's an uprising as there was, and you get extremists in charge who decide they want to punish America, and they want to get together with the Syrians and the Yemeni and the Iranians, and they're going to stop any oil coming out of the Middle East to America, then what?
Well,
that would devastate your economy.
No,
here,
not necessarily.
And it would devastate
I don't know.
Americans,
I live in Minnesota, and we don't get any oil from there. Ours comes from Canada. The point I'm making is there's oil all over the world.
But the world is running out.
But our dependence, don't you think we need to shed our dependence on it? All the money we're spending in these wars to get oil, if we turned around and spent that on solar energy and moving that forward, things of that nature forward, the amount of money we're spending to secure this oil, if we took half of it and just spent it on alternative energy, we could break this resistance, and then we wouldn't be compelled to have to go over there and insure.
Do you
want to know why we're in Afghanistan?
I'm fascinated.
It came to me 6 months ago when a story came out that they found a vein of lithium there that they say is worth $1 trillion. Now, what is lithium used for? Every cell phone, every computer, and soon-to-be electric cars. Yeah, so why don't they just, Piers, tell me the truth?
No, but Jesse, that's not...
We're going there to get lithium so that we can live like we live. Don't sit and try to sell me we're to give democracy to the world.
Jesse, it sounds a bit like you've been on lithium. Come on, you can't seriously imagine we've gone to war in Afghanistan over lithium. Come on. Be serious.
I am serious.
My brother just served a 7-month tour of Afghanistan.
I am serious.
He did not risk his life for lithium.
What did he risk it for?
He risked it because everybody knows that Osama bin Laden was training people to commit atrocities in Afghanistan.
We all know that?
That's a fact.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Well, you're a conspiracy theorist.
I don't believe 9/11.
But you don't believe in anything.
No, I believe...
You believe everything has an ulterior motive.
Not true. Not true at all.
I've read your book.
Not true at all.
Let me have a short break. When I come back, I'm going to throw at you a few stories. I want to see what you think happened. Let's test these conspiracy theories.
All right. How come 2,000 architects and engineers met in San Francisco demanding a new investigation?
So, Jesse, you're the first guest I've had where we're still arguing in the breaks. Let's get to your conspiracy theories.
I'm unique.
Let me ask you.
Sure.
John F. Kennedy's assassination.
Yep.
Who did that?
It was done by William Harvey, who was the head of the CIA's assassination unit at that time. David Morales was directly involved in it. He likewise is the gentleman who killed Che Guevara down in Bolivia in '67, where they put him up against a firing wall and killed him and shot and killed him. Morales was part of that. I believe that because I saw, heard, and read a confession from E. Howard Hunt on a deathbed to his son. And when he confessed, it was not a confession of remorse. It was a confession of pride. He wanted the world to know that we helped you out. We killed John Kennedy, this communist sympathizer.
But Jesse, aren't you being slightly naive? People can say anything on a deathbed to immortalize themselves. When I die, I might say, you know what? I don't want anyone to know about my long-standing love affair with Elizabeth Taylor. Doesn't mean anything, does it?
I can be slightly naive, except the fact that you're not going to convince me he could make those shots.
Why?
Because I tried them, and I'm an expert marksman. He wasn't. And I couldn't do them. I couldn't even work. The fastest I could work the Mannlicher Carcano bolt was 8.5 seconds. and they're telling me he got 3 shots off in 6 seconds with that bolt-action piece of crap weapon. I tried it. We simulated the whole thing. I couldn't do it. And I qualified expert at age 50 when I was governor of Minnesota yet.
Did Neil Armstrong land on the moon?
I don't know.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think he did.
Why would you believe that?
Because we have the technology to get there.
We have the technology to investigate an assassination.
Sure we do, but we don't.
Well, we have thoroughly.
When a coup d'etat takes place, there can be no trial. There can be no investigation. You want to know another reason why it's a farce? I'll tell you why personally. My mother, before she died, she had a big trunk. And when she died, in the bottom of that trunk, she had every Minneapolis paper of that weekend that John Kennedy was killed. This was in Minneapolis's Monday morning paper. That means this is 63. So it had to go out early in the afternoon of Sunday to be in the Monday morning paper. And you know what was down in the bottom? Dallas police declare case closed.
Come on,
now,
Jesse.
It's right in the paper.
Jesse.
Oswald, Kennedy's killed on Friday. Ruby kills Oswald on Sunday. And the Dallas PD says the case is closed. They haven't interviewed a witness. There was no confession, but the case is closed.
Well, newspapers...
Come on, Piers. What type of investigation is that?
I have never, ever heard anybody suggest the investigations were closed on the Monday within hours.
It was in the paper. Dallas police
you believe everything you read in the papers?
I did then.
I have rarely encountered a man who believes less about what he reads in the papers. And now you want me to base your whole conspiracy theory
Not my whole.
on the fact that you've read one line in your mother's newspaper from the time?
I've studied John Kennedy for 25 years, Piers. I'm not basing this on reading one line in the paper. I'm basing this on reading everything I could get my hands on.
Let's move to 9/11. Your theory of 9/11 is what?
My theory of 9/11 is that we certainly, at best, we knew it was going to happen. They allowed it to happen to further their agenda in the Middle East and go to these wars.
So just to clarify, President George Bush knew that 9/11 was going to happen, that 3,000 people were going to get murdered.
They had all the information. If you looked at the NSA documents, if you look, well, put it to you this way. The August 6th memo was pretty clear.
Yeah, but do you genuinely believe, Jesse Ventura, that President George W. Bush knew 9/11 was going to happen?
No.
Why do you say it then?
No.
Well, why do you say it?
But I believe Dick Cheney knew it.
Really?
Yep.
You believe he knew it was going to happen?
I believe they had a good... Well, why did John Ashcroft quit flying commercial planes that summer and switch only to private planes? Why did that happen?
You don't honestly believe these people, do you? I don't believe you believe that. You don't honestly think Dick Cheney knew it was going to happen. You can't do.
Do you really believe,
Piers?
It's not irrational.
I said it's not rational.
Excuse me. Do you really believe that evil people can't be in charge of governments? If you do, go talk to the Germans. They know a little about that evil people can get in charge. The governments are run by people. People can be bad.
So Dick Cheney is involved, Ashcroft's involved, all these people got together and planned 9/11. Come on, it's madness.
Oh, that's madness. But you'll fully accept that 19 Islamic radicals armed with box cutters taking orders from a guy in a cave in Afghanistan could defeat our multi-billion-dollar air defense system, which the Russians couldn't do.
Jesse, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Really?
Unfortunately, they exposed a massive flaw in Homeland Security.
And what was it?
The flaw was that these guys had been training and often aiming to go one way, aiming to land planes in a certain manner. In fact, not even land them. Wanted to take off but not land. All these were clues that this was a weird set of circumstances. I'm afraid that's exactly what happened. And the trouble with being a conspiracy theorist, I've got great respect for you, and your book's very readable. The problem is, once you start buying into these theories, you never stop. And with the internet these days, there's a theory about everything.
Yeah.
Do you believe Princess Diana was murdered?
No, I don't look into that.
Well, what do you think?
I don't know. I haven't studied it.
Isn't the tendency of a conspiracy theory it breeds other conspiracies?
No. I only go into things I study. I've studied 9/11 for 3.5 years now. And it's my expert opinion. As a demolition expert, I was trained by the best the U.S. government has. I served 3 years on Underwater Demolition Team 12. 2 years I was attached to SEAL Team 1. And when I look at the buildings and how they fall and the way they fell, they couldn't have come down without being assisted in some manner. And then I counter...
You don't believe when two large planes hit the World Trade Center, hit both towers, and they explode, that couldn't bring down 2 buildings?
No.
And that the debris couldn't bring down a 3rd building?
The Empire State Building was hit by a plane and it didn't collapse.
It was a tiny plane that hit the Empire State Building.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Tiny. Well, the World Trade Center buildings were tested against Boeing 707s, which are bigger than the planes that hit.
Well,
and the way it was designed, if it was punctured, it was like a screen door. It would cause damage right where the hit was, but this uniform collapse. And then when you look at the powder, if it collapsed, it would collapse in big chunks.
Jesse,
Then I was at the site 2 weeks after it happened with Governor Pataki, right? And they had to cease digging that day. You know why? They were finding pockets of molten liquid metal underneath. Now, if everything took place, Piers, 150 floors up, why was there molten metal underneath?
It
requires 3,000 degrees to melt metal.
Jesse, you're a patriot. You're a good
I don't know if I am.
You consider yourself to be a good American?
I've been a mayor, I've been a governor, and I served 6 years and was honorably discharged from the United States Navy.
Do you accept that some people, many people, will be listening to this and consider it to be quite offensive, what you're saying?
What, to question government? I think it's quite offensive not to question government.
No, not to... It's more of a
I think it's offensive to sit back like a zombie and accept everything you're told.
I get that. But when you're telling the American public, as you are right now, and indeed the wider world, this airs around the world, that Dick Cheney, Vice President of the United States...
Well, I'd like some answers from him.
Yeah, but you didn't just say you want some answers. You said he knew and was responsible for the biggest atrocity in American history on his home ground. You believe that?
No. I'll just say it happened on his watch, so they're responsible for it.
So he didn't know?
I don't know.
Listen, we're going to take a break so that we can all just deep breath, calm down. Before we go, just clarify me one more time, because you said Cheney knew and then he didn't know. Did he know or not?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't there. But I certainly have questions for him that were not answered.
I get it. We'll be back after the break. Thank you, Jesse.
WikiLeaks' release of classified information has generated a lot of attention worldwide in the past few weeks. The hysterical reaction makes one wonder if this is not an example of killing the messenger for the bad news.
Exactly.
That was Congressman Ron Paul talking about WikiLeaks. I'm back now with my guest, Jesse Ventura. Jesse, you said exactly, so you agree with Ron Paul there?
Absolutely. In fact, if you'd have continued with that statement, Representative Paul, as you know, I dedicated this book to him. He's the only one there that has the courage that'll stand up. He made the great statement that in a free country, when telling the truth, you can get charged for treason, we're in big trouble.
Even if you've stolen the information?
The stolen information, excuse me, we all pay taxes. All that information is paid for by my tax dollars. I have every right to know how my taxes are spent, how every single penny of it is spent. I have the right to know that. They're using my money.
You served in the Navy.
Yep.
Would you have been absolutely happy for every private memo involving your Navy SEAL group to come out?
No, but there's a difference.
What's the difference?
But the difference is
you're paid for by the taxpayer.
Yeah, but it could jeopardize the mission initially.
WikiLeaks couldn't?
Once the mission's over, you're not jeopardizing it.
You don't think anything published in WikiLeaks could possibly jeopardize
wait a minute. Now,
lives or military operation?
Well, let's go to this young man that's in prison right now.
Bradley Manning.
Bradley Manning. I hope they're giving him his rights, which I don't think they are. They're holding him. He can't talk to a lawyer.
On that, I agree with you.
All right, Bradley Manning, the first thing he released was that helicopter murdering those people, murdering them. So now Bradley Manning's in jail, but the helicopter murderers are still free. They're fine. So apparently leaking this is more important than committing murder.
Like I said to you.
Wait, Piers, answer that for me.
No, let me...
Answer that for me.
You haven't answered my question.
All right.
My question
But I've been answering all of them. You haven't answered one yet.
I'm interviewing you, Jesse. That's the way this works.
Not with me.
Well, that's the way it works with me.
Well, butt heads then.
Well, look, I can answer perhaps for my brother, who's a British Army colonel. And when I discussed WikiLeaks with him, he says that the impact of releasing private memos, private reports from the military when they're in operations is incredibly dangerous.
All right, go to my book. Sure,
I believe you agree with that.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But go to my book and see. Currently, our government every year declares 16 million things top secret. 16 million. I would say that's about everything. So what do we get to know about?
But my point, Jesse...
My point is, when they're abusing what's secret by classifying everything they do, the public can't see. Read in the back of the book what some of the great founders of this country said about secretive government.
Did you believe it was in the public interest that WikiLeaks revealed, for example, that Colonel Gaddafi had 4 mistresses?
I could care less how many women Colonel Gaddafi has.
No, but do you think, is it in the public interest to reveal that information?
I don't know. It's gossip. Doesn't bother me.
But when you were governor, you hated that kind of gossip against you and your family. In fact, you detested the media that spread any kind of gossip about your family.
They didn't spread gossip about my family.
They did about your son, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, they trumped up charges on him.
Right, but what I'm saying is that kind of family gossip, private life stuff, isn't that where the line should be drawn with WikiLeaks? Why do you support everything they put out there? Given that you were so vocal about any private material coming out about you.
Then why is it okay for why is it okay for them to expose my private stuff?
I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying if you felt strongly that your private life was your private life, however much you think badly of Colonel Gaddafi...
Well, somebody had to write about it, didn't they?
Why is Gaddafi's private life public interest?
What you're at here is a classic example of killing the messenger, not the message. If it wasn't written in the first place, there'd be no message, would there? So somebody wrote it to begin with. Shouldn't they be the ones who have put America in danger? It was the ones who wrote it?
No, because the whole point of being a diplomat is that when you report to your governments around the world, and wait, let me finish.
We're in sad shape when diplomats have to sit and lie, when they have to write things that people aren't allowed to read, and if they do read, they take offense to. Well, I would say that's part of the big problems of the world today.
Which were the lies in WikiLeaks?
I don't know.
You just said they were lying.
I didn't say they were lying.
You said it was a sad day when diplomats lie. Where were they lying?
I'm saying when they're saying bad things about other people. They wrote it.
But they weren't necessarily...
All it was exposed.
And my point was there may not be lies.
So in other words,
Jesse,
Piers, you figure let government keep everything secret.
No,
it's all okay.
No.
It's all all okay because somebody in government has deemed this top secret.
But
so therefore, hands off.
I don't.
Because we don't dare know a thing our government
Don't put words in my mouth.
See, that's what you're doing to me.
No. I started the debate by asking you, when you were a Navy SEAL, did you believe that a number of private reports should have stayed private? And you said yes. So you
Only till after the op's over. When the op's over, you can go public with all that you want.
Really? You think it's good for the world to know exactly how Navy SEALs conduct their covert operations, do you, around the world?
They already know.
Would you agree, if the CIA discovered tomorrow that they knew where Osama bin Laden was, that he should be assassinated?
No.
What about Gaddafi?
No.
You don't care?
No, I think they should be arrested and tried in a court of law. Since when does what are we, in the Wild West? We just go out and if people we don't like, we kill them?
Isn't that what you did?
Everyone's willing to be killed?
Jesse, with respect, isn't that exactly what Navy SEALs do all the time?
No, we're at war. War's different.
Well, we're at war with Osama bin Laden.
We are?
Aren't we? We're taking a quick break. We will continue this when we come back.
All right.
I'm back with my special guest, Jesse Ventura, who's on, to put it mildly, feisty form this evening.
Well, I've been gone to Mexico 4 months and hadn't had no one to talk to, Piers.
Well, I'm glad
you're the guy.
Glad it was me, Jesse. Now, let me put you in a hypothetical position, Jesse. You are President of the United States.
Yep.
And by the way, this wasn't at one stage a fanciful notion. You were doing very, very well as governor of Minnesota.
Oh, there's already a movement out there, grassroots right now, that wants me for president.
Okay, so let's take it one step forward,
Sure.
maybe 3 steps forward. You're President of the United States.
Yep.
And you've had an attack like 9/11
Yep.
happen on your watch.
Yep.
And the whole country, in fact, the world, is desperate for this not to happen again.
Yep.
And you capture 3, 4 people.
Yep.
Who you absolutely believe, from all intelligence, not just yours, but every other country involved,
Yep.
are senior Al-Qaeda terrorists.
Kind of
who
like
are-
curveball?
who are actively...
Kind of like curveball?
Who are actively plotting to commit similar atrocities.
All right.
But they don't want to talk.
Yep.
How do you get out of them?
You just have to do what you can to attempt to get it out of them, but torture is not the answer. Because torture, why do you think we don't allow it in a court of law? Because if you're being tortured, you're going to say anything to stop the torture. It has no credibility to it. And I'll counter you with this. We had a terrorist attack in Oklahoma City. Many people thought there were more involved than Timothy McVeigh and Nichols, the 2 guys. Why didn't we waterboard them? Why weren't they waterboarded? So we could find out what they knew, could find out whether more attacks were looming. Was there more conspirators in this? How come?
Do you think it's
Piers?
inconsistent?
I think it's very inconsistent. I think the only people that get waterboarded are people of the Muslim faith, because nobody else is getting waterboarded. Why didn't we waterboard McVeigh and Nichols? We had them. In fact, we put one of them to death and the others in prison for life. Why weren't they waterboarded? To find out what they knew.
What do you think of Guantanamo
You
Bay?
haven't asked my question, Piers.
I'm not answering any of the questions.
Well, the
You're the
point
one
is,
being
but
interviewed.
it's a good question, isn't it? Why were these guys
it's actually a good
waterboarded
question.
and these guys not waterboarded?
Yeah, but remember the dynamic of the interview, Jesse. I'm interviewing you.
All right.
It's your views I'm trying to get.
Remember, I've been in your seat, so it's hard.
Of course. What did you think of Guantanamo Bay?
I think it's atrocious. I think it's awful. I'm so disappointed that Barack Obama didn't close it. In a court of law, every one of these guys is going to walk. Because anything gotten by torture is inadmissible. We are a supposed civilized nation who should not stoop to that regardless of whatever the results would be. Because if you stoop to that level, you can never get back what you have.
Jesse, a remarkable thing has just happened. I agree with you. Let's move on. Do you believe that President Obama is a puppet of the CIA, as you've suggested?
A puppet of the CIA? I didn't suggest that.
Let me play a clip to you.
What you're saying is Barack Obama was a CIA agent?
He was what they call a CIA asset. He was enrolled in the early 1980s by Zbigniew Brzezinski. Mr. Brzezinski is the head of the Trilateral Commission, and Mr. Obama had been pre-identified as one of their candidates to be U.S. president.
Now, did you look at my face there? That was a face of stunned. So when you're asking me, do I believe that? This is this guy telling me this.
Let me show you my face. What
That's
the
what
hell
I did.
are you talking about, you idiot? Is what I would have said to that guy.
No, because you have a
That's my face.
No, because you have a TV show to do. You can't be calling guests idiots.
You can.
Well, you shouldn't. But anyway,
not?
well, because
What if they're being
your
idiots?
style's different than mine. But that was him saying that. I wasn't
You
saying
allowed
that.
this crackpot airtime on your show to spout complete nonsense.
Crackpot, it's an entertainment show.
Entertainment?
Yes.
Suggesting the
Conspiracy
president-
theory is an entertainment show.
Okay, it's also very dangerous.
We just use reality. It's dangerous.
You let this guy spout off that President Obama is a member of the CIA?
Can you say he's not?
Yes, he's not.
Never was.
He's not.
How do you know that?
Just call it a gut feeling, Jesse. Let's take another short break.
When
Jesse.
George Bush was made vice
I
president.
need to catch my breath, never mind yours. Let's take a short break. When we come back, I want to talk about your other great conspiracy theory, which is that the TSA want to do you in.
Good at hitting buttons.
Now, Jesse,
Yep.
we've had a lot of lively discussion here. Let's turn to other of your pet hates.
And we're still smiling at
We're
each
still
other.
smiling.
See, we
Of
can
course.
get along and have lively discussions.
Absolutely right. Tell me about your battle with the TSA.
Well, it's still in court, or it's pending court because it's with Homeland Security also, and Janet Napolitano, the head. I've brought a federal lawsuit against them on the Fourth Amendment, the Bill of Rights, and I do this as an individual.
What do you object to?
I object to the fact that I have metal in my body, and therefore I could go through the metal detector naked, and it's going to set it off.
So you have a titanium hip implant?
Yeah, which sets off all of the metal detector, which then means I'm subjected to these further searches now, and the man from San Diego is completely correct that if they give you the body search, I had it done once to me, it is a sexual assault on the street. You would be charged with a crime on the street. And my belief, I'm suing, it's all, you can get it on the internet, my whole complaint. It's only for me. I asked for no money. All I'd ask for them is to stop. Do not search me anymore. Because I believe that the Fourth Amendment, the key word is reasonable.
So should nobody be searched in that way?
No, I'm saying only me.
Who would you search?
No, you're getting me off on a tangent. You asked me about my court case. That's what I'm discussing.
But why just you?
Because of who I am. It is not reasonable to believe Jesse Ventura, former governor, former mayor, 6-year Navy veteran, poses any threat to anyone.
You believe in profiling, basically?
Yeah.
Who would you search? Describe the person to me.
Well, first, I don't know.
You're in charge. Come on.
No.
You can't cop out. You can't say, I want to be excluded.
I'm just saying I'm suing on my behalf, no one else's.
Would you only profile Muslims at airports?
I don't know. I've never done that.
Well, it's unlike you to have no opinion.
Well, on this one, I don't have one.
Why? Because you're worried about being inflammatory?
No.
Don't be a coward.
Because I'm not you calling me a coward. Young man, I've done things that would make the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Like what?
You cannot insult me into thinking you're going to get something out of me by calling me a coward.
Well, suggesting it's
my track record. Nobody goes through buds and is a coward.
I was pointing out that your failure to answer that question may be a cowardly response, because I think I know what you think the profiling should be. You just don't want to say it in public. Am I right?
have no problem saying in public. Have they caught anyone?
Clarify.
Have they caught anyone?
For?
With what they're doing at the airports. If they caught someone, it'd be in the headlines, wouldn't it?
Or maybe
so
not.
They're doing all this and they haven't caught a soul.
But there have been, touch wood, there have been no further uses of planes as weapons.
Right.
So
well, they're not going to do the same thing again. How stupid would that be?
Most terrorists do the same thing again and again. Do you accept, though, that in your fury against the TSA...
I have no fury against them. I just want them to stop.
I haven't made my point.
Because they're violating my Fourth Amendment.
I haven't made my point.
Okay.
In your complaint about them, actually, you've identified why they have such a hard job, haven't you? Because you yourself have no idea who they should be profiling. You just know they should be profiling.
No, I just don't want to answer the question. Because I have a court case pending, and I don't like to talk about things that could affect the court case.
Okay. You're reserving your right to silence.
Because
an unusual position for Jesse Ventura.
Well, when you're in federal court waiting for a judge to rule, I probably spoke too much today on it that I shouldn't have.
Excellent. Right, we're going to take one more break, and when we come back, I want you to say a little bit more than you should again. Back with my special guest, Jesse Ventura. New book, 63 Documents the Government Doesn't Want You to Read. I'd imagine this program could become document number 64.
No, do you know why we picked 63?
Go on.
Could have probably got 263. I picked 63 because that was the year they killed President Kennedy.
Right.
And I thought the significance would be good, 63.
Will you ever be running for president?
Would I? You know, you never say never. I mean, I've learned that in my 59 years now, that you never shut a door. Do I have an intention of running? No, not at this time, unless they want to move the White House to the Baja. You know, right now I like my life down there. Also, I think that if I ran for president, it would be very dangerous for me and my family.
Why?
Well, because I don't believe the power structure would allow a rogue like me to get in there. Because one of the things that disturbs me the most was when President Obama and all these guys, whenever they come into office, the first thing they tell the public is, it's time to move on. We can't look behind us anymore, no matter what's been done. We're going to move on. Well, that's the government's way of covering their asses, so that anyone that's in office can do anything they want, and the people that come after them, they're all part of the same system, will never look back or do anything to anyone that...
What are the other barriers to you being president, do you think?
The fact that I hate the fundraising, because to me it's panhandling or bribery. If you panhandle, you say, give me money so I can do this job, that's panhandling. If you give back a favor, then it's bribery. And we have an entire system built upon panhandling and bribery.
What about religion?
Well, I have a problem there too, because I've now admitted I'm an atheist. And in this country of the United States, which is fascist now, in my opinion, is organized religion teaming up with corporations to control the government. In the United States, there's some prevailing feeling out there that because you don't believe in the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, or God, this being you can never see, or it exists only in your mind, that somehow you don't have values.
Jesse Ventura doesn't actually exist, of course. It's a fictitious character that you created. Are you going to stay with Jesse Ventura?
No, I'll kill him.
Really? When?
I don't know yet.
Soon?
But the day's coming.
How are you
Can't answer.
How are you going to kill him?
I will disappear.
So this might be the last interview Jesse Ventura gives.
No, because I'm on the book tour. I'll be giving interviews for another 12 days.
So the death of Jesse comes in a year?
Possibly.
And that's it? Gone?
Gone.
All over?
All over.
Well, I'm glad to have caught you before it was too late, Jesse.
Well, and then again, I don't want your peers calling me a liar, because I could be here 15 years from now and be the president.
You know what? Stranger things have happened.
That's right.
Jesse Ventura?
My friend, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
It's been a pleasure. And like I said, you're very good at hitting buttons.
Thank you,
I see
Jesse.
why they hired you.
I'd take that as a compliment.